We recognize the problems, we alert and we shout because we want other people to come and help us. However, it seems to me that since COVID, the ecosystem has changed. And we Africans must take responsibility now, because nobody rushes anymore because there is an epidemic. And even when they come, they are looking behind. Is there something happening at home? Because epidemics are threatening the world everywhere. Right Honorable, what we see is an effect or a result of the damage and the scare and the shock that COVID gave us. Before that, we were really complacent as a nation. But during COVID, we found ourselves very helpless. Surprisingly, during COVID is when we started to mobilize ourselves as scientists and say, no, why do we sit here until we die? Let's do something. And we want to thank the government of Uganda, His Excellency the President, the Minister of Finance. They have been providing funds, and the funds that helped us to begin to gain the courage to start to do some of this research. Because in epidemics, usually we have different pillars, and there are pillars which are funded. Sometimes outbreak, the epidemiology, people going out to the field, case finding. It's easy, WHO, to find some money here and there, UNICEF. We have case management. But when it comes to the issue of research, to actually identify what are the problems that are making these things come here. Because this M-Pox has been talked about in DRC for a long time. We shouldn't have reached where we have reached. The issue to define the actual problem, find solutions. I've been in epidemics for a long time, but that is usually an unfunded priority in every outbreak. Even if you get funding, it will come so much later that your findings are not going to impact on the outbreak. Therefore, I want to thank the organizers for mobilizing the community of Africa. Mobilizing ourselves. For our guests here, we say, let us do something good for the nation among ourselves. And when we bring together these scientists, because the biggest input in research and generation of knowledge is the human being. So when these people come together, we begin to think, and that's what I challenged them, not only during the opening, but during the organization. I said, let's come together, not just to hear speeches. Let's come together to think and come up with practical solutions so that we begin to address this issue. I mean, it's totally unacceptable that human beings can be like that. And I'm sure most of those cases have become complicated because it took long to find them, it took long to treat them, or we don't even have the effective solutions. So the consortium, in collaboration with the Ministry of Health and Science, Technology and Innovation, we came together because it's about leadership. When you step forward, we begin to coalesce. And when I look at the discussions and the resolutions, I think we have been activated. So we just need to recognize the scientific assets that we have. And we are doing this. Our government has pillars We are doing this in the spirit of Pan-Africanism, that together we can do things. Right, Honorable, the other thing which has changed in us is that many times when we look at problems like this, in the African spirit, we don't want to look at things that will make money. We feel like we are benefiting from people's sufferings. However, we agreed that we will not be able to sustain our research and response if we are not able to make products.
You have really exposed me today that I'm very ignorant about M-Pox. By whatever you've displayed, it is something I kept looking until when I covered my eyes not to see anymore. So you can't know where I stopped. Because I also don't know where I stopped. I think when you talk of M-Pox, I'm one of those who keep thinking of chicken pox. So now if you compare the knowledge I had of chicken pox with M-Pox, just know what level I was. If it was on a Richter scale, where was I? Maybe 0 point something. So that means that you have a lot to do as scientists, for those of you who know, to make us who don't know. Especially we decision makers. It's when we know the magnitude that we are even able to say, let's give. Had I had the basket or the key to the treasury there, and you asked for money, I would have even just given you the key to say, carry what you want, what is enough, to help you find a solution. So I want to take this opportunity to request. My colleague said I would talk politics. Yes, for me, when I left university, I only worked for 3 years and I joined politics. And I joined politics at the national level after working with the local government. So when it comes to politics, I've been in politics for the last 23 years. So, if you want the message to sink, I'm a teacher by profession. My first degree was in education. Visual. And these days you have brought up, you scientists have brought technology which enhances visual. If there was a way, had I not been representing the Prime Minister, I was going to walk away and go and say, let me stay with my ignorance. I don't want to add on these people's knowledge.